So I would say that the title itself, Shaping Desires, can be intended as a true manifesto of your goal. But even the ultimate goal for both architects as well as real estate operators, for all those that are actively involved in the building and design chain. And my first question is just to have a good elaboration on this. And I would like to start with the Tectoo point of view. So if you want to, I would like to pass the word on to Susanna and then Andrea for a few considerations on that.
No, I prefer, please.
She wants some suggestions.
Keep the mic.
She wants some suggestion then. Well, thanks for the question. I want to start, I was reading some quotes from Roland Barthes saying desire is a system of science. It's a system of science because obviously desires don't come as a natural aspect. They are driven by what we see and what we perceive around us. So it means that the built environment really drives our desire to something. We live in a world that is driven by images, and that is driving our attention and is shaping our way of perceiving things, and also, yeah, the desires. So that's why we talk about shaping desires also when we talk about real estate or architecture, because the way we design things and we design public spaces is really giving inputs to people for how to live those spaces, and it's not a secondary aspect. Actually, the way we behave is driven by what we see around us. So in a way, yeah, we shape desires.
Susanna?
He already says everything, but anyway, the desire, I mean, the community, the people, each of us has a lot of desire, and the desire, in fact, shapes our life, not just what is around us. So not just what is real, concrete, build, construct, but also what is immaterial. So our life are shaped by desire. And so what we are trying to achieve is to transform these dreams in something that everybody could see, could appreciate, could understand. And so it's a sort of interpretation of reality and interpretation of what the people around us will like, and to transform the places around us in the place that people would like to live, where he likes to work, where he likes to have relationship. And this and this aspect is specifically very, very important, because the people and the connection between people are what help us to create these spaces. I mean, COVID changed a little bit the world, and during the COVID, everybody will think that the office building will never be important anymore, that will decrease the request of spaces, that everything will change. But at the end, people need to meet, need to share their desire, their hopes, their dream. And for this reason, I think that our work is important, because we need to help to make people, as I said before, make a better living for everybody.
Thank you. I'm quite curious to know the perception from another, I would say, shade within the whole architectural chain. So I'm now focusing on the perspective of the real estate operators. So, for example, Giuseppe, your idea of how to shape desires.
So we are the bad guys. So we have to take the discussion into more like a pragmatic reality and approach, obviously. But it's always very important to work with good architects and good designers. So this is the number one thing for us. So we are, real estate developers. Shaping desires is obviously very important for us. We're trying to do it in different fields, in residential hospitality mainly, and we try to do it with what is our values, which are like timeless quality, which is respect for the environment around, and the most important thing also to try to build trust. Trust with the architects, with the people, with the clients, and this is something that for us is extremely important, and without this we cannot shape any desire. So this is our, let's say, think about it.
Thank you. Timur.
From my perspective, desires, we all have different desires. People are different. We're a global society with different interests, but we share common values across certain aspects of our life. The desire to have a peaceful night's sleep, for example, in a place that has good energy. The desire, as Susanna was saying, to be able to work, play, and live in an environment that is easy, where we don't have to commute for 2 hours a day. So we may not all have the same opportunities, but we do share a lot of the same desires globally. And I think that as we evolve as a society, we, as developers and architects, we have to listen to people's shared desires to understand what is it that they're seeking. At the same time, there are people who are in a tremendous amount of stress and suffering. They look like us. They don't necessarily look like somebody who is impoverished. And we also have a responsibility to shape that by presenting options to people that they didn't think about, they didn't see themselves. One example that Susanna mentioned is COVID, for example. COVID created a tremendous amount of mental health issues globally amongst all age groups, from our parents to teenagers, and technology has played a big role in this. So technology has a unifying ability, but ultimately we see a lot of isolation happening amongst young professionals, let's say, for example, even in the 20s and 30s. So shaping desire has to be a two-way street. One, we have to address the needs that people are aware of, that they're voicing, and on the other side, we have to guide them when they are lost. And I think that connectivity and interacting with each other and being connected to fellow human beings is perhaps one of the biggest themes that I'm seeing today across the world.
Thank you, Timur. The hard part goes to Francesca, since she's the latter.
I'm the last one. So, well, I've heard a lot about desires, and what I can add to this discussion, in my opinion, is that not always it's easy to understand which is the real desire of people that live the place in which you work, and the place that you want to transform. And this comprehension is very important for us, because you can understand which is your own desire as a developer, that is very often driven by economics and market constraints. But then you have to focus on the people, because if you don't have and if you don't achieve that people enjoying your place and people live there, you are building, I would say, you are building a new void over an old void. So this is the tricky part in the beginning of the process of a concept, I would say. And there are many ways to achieve that. I don't want to be too long. So, for example, I say what we usually do. Usually we ask for help for professionals, for consultants that they can be private consultants, or so they can be institutions like university or other research institutes, and we ask them to inquire the people what they want to make some studies about the surroundings, and this can help. Not always is the right choice, because at the end you have to make everything count in an economical and market oriented sense, but that can help. That can help us as developer to find a better way, a way that is closer to what the people probably desire for the place.
So the desired data are not always the desired desires in a words play. Are you passionate about rock music? Okay. Okay, great, because we have the first bullet point, kind of video pill tonight, in order to introduce the first content to share all together, that I would say it's a kind of parallelism between architecture and rock and roll. So let's launch the first video. So Jenny's job, please, Susanna, join us again.
I was not very far.
But we missed you. So Patti Smith, she sang, "People have the power." Taking this very powerful expression into the field of architecture and real estate as well. So the bad guys are involved too. So how to include the people, the community within the design process, also talking about the stages. So how to include them in the early stages, if it's possible. I will start this time with Francesca. So
I can say whatever I want. So actually I didn't know the song before, so it was a new for me. And of course people have the power, because what we do is meant for people. So even if people is not involved, we are working for people. People has the power because we think about people, or we should do, while starting or while developing some projects. So of course people have the power on us, but how people participate in the process, we can have a lot of answers, because we have participative processes that I would say that are well suited for a more public environment, I would say, because, as I told before, we are usually dealing with economics constraints, time constraints, so these processes are very long, very difficult, and mostly the outcome not always is what you expected. So we usually do other things, and I didn't realize that I almost answered the question before, so I don't repeat myself, but you have to listen. Susanna told in the video before that the first thing that you have to do is listen. And this is the first thing you can do to bring in the people within the project. It can be you that directly ask the questions. It can be other people, but the primary thing is that you have to collect what the people thinks, and you have to bring it in your project, and then it can help to shape the project that you are developing after. with architects and so on.
Let's move on to Timur.
The power, and they exercise that power in different ways. Predominantly, if you're selling apartments, by writing a check. And so that is one way, as a financial investor, you see people exercising their power. People also have power in more established, developed societies where they have town hall meetings to vote for a project that might come up across the street. We went through that process in Beverly Hills. It's probably the most stringent zoning laws in the entire world, not just the US. And it takes a lot longer to build something. So people definitely have power. In a boom market, do developers listen to people always? No. The best example I can give from my hometown in Dubai is it was very apparent to me when I took possession of my first apartment that a large apartment that I bought that was about 250 square meters and had a kitchen with a stove that was about this big. And what that makes, and a closet in the master bedroom that was only enough for my shoes, not my wife's shoes. So when you look at boom markets, you see that there's voices that have been left out. In this case, in my example, predominantly women, right? Women are the ones who are generally the master of the domain and would be able to see certain things that a man would not necessarily see. And so that inclusion needs to be there. And we don't see that as much in a boom market. We do see that when the markets get tougher and people actually have to think and speak to the customers and listen.
Thank you. Giuseppe.
I think when I read this question, I think that the final, I went to see the lyrics of the song, and the final line is, I mean, people have the power, we have the power. So we have the power means that we are also the decision makers. So we create projects, we have to decide. So architects design for people, and everybody is, we are realizing projects for people. So it's important that we target our community, so our target, let's say. That's the number one thing, I think, in every project. I think the timing is very important in the process, because sometimes in project, let's say you come very late with the community, and maybe you find mistakes, you do mistakes. So it's very important to engage the community and your target early in the process. That's the thing that I think it's very important to make successful projects. It's important to do maybe targeted, again, focus group with their clients to make sure to avoid the famous wishful thinking, so which is maybe a delusion about what you think, especially in the regeneration projects or in things where, in other kind of projects where you have a lot of stakeholders all together around the table, and everyone wants to do something, but sometimes you need to obviously do your count with the economic feasibilities. So everyone wants big parks, everyone wants big amenities for free for the public, but then, you know, developers needs to make their calculation with that. So that's very important, and you don't have to forget the communities and your clients and your target. We've done many projects, different projects, from historical building to be refurbished, to regeneration projects, to marinas. In each one of them, we believe that you know, the community is the element, the central element. So this is what I think it should be.
Thank you. Susanna.
About the, I would like to share with you an experience that I had 15 years ago, when I was still in RPVW, and I was part of the foundation, Renzo Piano. And there was a sort of workshop with students in the school. And from really elementary school, so primary school, until, high school. But the more interesting workshop that I did was with kids of primary school. It was a very amusing test with them. So we had a classroom, I had a classroom, and we begin with sharing with the kids shape, two-dimensional shape, and asking them what they would like to do. So the classroom have the task to build a city. So they begin to discuss, I want to do the church, I want to do this, I want to do the building, I want to do the houses. And they begin to work with two shapes. And after that, we gave them, each one of them, three-dimensional pieces. So every shape, three-dimensional pieces. And they began to, each one of them began to build his own building. And they knew what they want for the city. And there was a primary school. And they have clear idea to what they think important in a city. And at the end, each one of them, in fact, built a building, and all the buildings were put together in such a way that they thought it was right. So where the church have to go, where the church have to go, or where the houses have to go. And after we take picture of the city that comes out. And this was an incredible experience that I had, because thinking that already little children at the age have a clear idea to how the city has to be, it means that probably we lose something during the process. Because if we know what has to be done when we are 8 years old and we are confused when we are 40, it means that something happened in the process. So this was an incredible experience. I had another experience with for the project for a school, where it was done a number of working sections with the community, with the parents, with teachers. And every time I did this kind of things, due to the fact that I strongly believe that listening is the main factor of doing the right project, is extremely important. The worst experience is when politics come in. And so there are other aspects that are involved in the discussion. And you lose direction because you are focused on other task that is not trying to do the best thing. So I strongly think that the community could help to have beautiful city, also for another reason. Because if you have a participation from the community in developing a project, this community will perceive the project as its own, and he'll take care of this area of the city. He will take care of the building, he will take care of the park, because it feels a part of itself in this project. So I think that, this kind of participation is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea.
Well, thinking about your input of Patti Smith, in that song, she says also that together we can dream, we can rule, and we can wrestle the people from fools, which I'm not sure we are really able to do so, and we have good examples nowadays. But I have to say that sometimes people really lose the ability to understand what can be done, how we can handle things, and how we can interact with things in order to drive decision towards a better place. Like a few years ago, we did a focus group actually for the Milano Sesto project with Giuseppe, and in those focus groups, in order to design the city, we were all concentrated in defining the smart cities like something with technology, with high tech, with connectivity. It seemed that it was all about that, and electric vehicles or all this stuff that we heard of for many years. Everyone was talking about smart cities, but no one knew what really is a smart cities. And then we started to discuss about like the city of 15 minutes. So something that really brings down the city to a scale of the community. And what came out from those public spaces was that people were not interested about having the Wi-Fi in the square, but it was about having the squares, having the public spaces, and having the services that really make the city a better place for people. So in a way, yeah, we can drive some decisions. We have to listen to the community at first, particularly when we talk about big projects and transformation projects of the city. So, well, something can be done.
Hopefully, yes. So let's move to the second video pill tonight. So, bad people from the real estate and good people from the design field. A funny way to introduce the second topic. Well, sustainability is so tricky. We are overwhelmed by the word sustainability, but how do architects approach this topic? How real estate operators approach this topic? I would like to ask Timur first. I'm very interested in your point of view as from an international point of view.
Excuse me. There's two sides to this as well. One is that you see, from a financial perspective, the implementation of technology, efficient energy solutions, efficient building solutions. What's really driving this is economics. And our world is sort of geared in a very economic way, right? And so that is the biggest driver, from my perspective, of sustainable solutions that might be implemented by developers, is the cost savings, the energy efficiency, and so forth. As far as a word, sustainability, I think, at least for me, there's a slight desensitization to this. It's being used very mindlessly, very generically. What is sustainability, and so to build a project that is truly sustainable, where you actually have that in mind, you're thinking from the core of the project. Whereas we do tend to see people who are trying to paste something onto the project so they can get a check mark and increase their certification or marketability of the building. So we have two different types of actors in this space. But I think the biggest driver has been, thankfully, the efficiencies that the technology that's coming out in the sustainable world is creating. So that's hopefully not going to change going forward.
Thank you. Susanna. Yes, random.
No. No, so again, I think, and something was said also during the documentary, that sustainability is a very abused word today. And for sure, this aspect is important, but substantially important. So I think that we need to restore ancient knowledge to speak about sustainability, because Just to be very clear, one time if we want to change the air, we open the door. Now we have domotic that organize all our life. And before we had a consumption of energy that was this in a house, and now is that big. So we speak about sustainability, but I think that each one of us need to understand what he wants, because the majority of the increase of consumption of energy at the end is in the demand. So people demand more services, more lights, more control, and so this could be a real problem. From an architect's point of view, before the Industrial Revolution, before all the, we can say, the consumption of energy that we have now, before thinking that we could do whatever we want in any condition, so create any kind of building in any place in the world because we have the energy to create the right condition, we lost again the knowledge that we had in the past, where the buildings were built in relation to the natural condition around them. And so they were shaped to the condition of the sun, the wind, the humidity, and everything was used properly. And I think that we need to come back and to restore ancient knowledge in a contemporary vision to speak really about sustainability.
Thanks, Susanna. Francisca, your point of view?
Well, I have to say, hello? I agree completely with what has been said from both of you, because taking from what Anna was saying, I don't know if it's me or not.
If you want to switch the mic, maybe.
No, I try.
Okay.
Let's see. The thing is what people want. And of course now we are used to have it all at the same time. So people want to be in a house with t-shirt in midwinter. So, and they ask us to provide a building that answer to this desire. The thing is, this is the right desire to have and the right desire to provide with an answer for people. I want to connect with what he was saying about the financial involvement in this sustainability, in this ESG that now is really overspoken. And nowadays, for us in Europe, at least, we have to be financially. We are reliable if we obtain the most goals of ESG that is possible. And this is also something that sometimes push developers to check the list. I mean, to make this sort of achievement of the most certification as possible to be reliable in a more financial way. And yes, I think in this process maybe something can be missed. So you cannot be compliant in everything. Surely you have to know very well the nature and what is sustainable. And I also want to give something more to this discussion for my colleagues. That is, we don't know actually what will be sustainable 20 years from now. We know what it's supposed to be sustainable now. So of course we are trying to represent it, to work with it, because this is what we have to do. But we also have to continue studying, to continue trying to find new ways that sometimes are the old ways, but just repurposed in the present, to try to achieve the goal that at the end is to be less hard on our environment and more effective in the in the shaping of our world without being inconsiderate.
Thank you so much, Francesca. Andrea, your thoughts on this?
Well, many interesting things have been said, and I totally agree with this, with the fact that sustainability goes down to being moderate at some point. Susanna was mentioning about how buildings were done before, and I would say that it's clear through the history what sustainability was. It was very clear. It was clear where there was a lack of water and you had run dirt building, where you had a lot of water and you had building on platforms. So people were responding to their needs, understanding what was surrounding them. I was reading an article that says that by 2060 we will double the amount of square meter built on our Earth. And if we consider that it's 2025, so we are pretty close to double the size of built environment on our Earth. And if we continue in this way, I don't see any sustainability at all. And it's not because we say that our building footprint is zero because we reduce the consumption, is that we are not consuming because we are building the environment. And we are building faster and faster because if we consider the length of history, and in the next 35 years we will build the amount of square meter built, I think it's scary. It's also a big opportunity. A big opportunity also to rethink how we want to live in this world, and maybe learning from the past can be something more intelligent. And in the same way, we need to be moderate, because if we consider what we want to have in an apartment, and it was said by Francesca, you want to live in the full winter with your T-shirt on. There is nothing sustainable in that. We build glazed buildings where in climate extremely hot or extremely cold. There is nothing sustainable in that. So I think we need to look back and understand what we can gain and implement it with the new technologies and what we have learned nowadays.
Thank you. A few words by Giuseppe as well.
So I think that we can say now, after this discussion on sustainability, that there are different vision from on sustainability between architects and real estate developers. I would say that for the architects is more like an ethical mission. For the real estate developers is more like a performance-driven asset, based on efficiency, let's say long-term value. This is so basically we should say that probably the ESG criteria forced the developer to consider sustainability as a real thing to be considered. And I think that now, especially in the luxury segment, I would say that now we're going to see more than a certification, the sustainability intended as a certification. It's very important to see the sustainability almost like a sign, a mark of prestige. So basically you can see many projects where the sustainability is almost an identity of the project. And this is happening in the many hospitality brands, in many residential projects around the world. So I think this is a good thing for the future, as a future trend. That can bring some long-term value to the project. As they said, we don't know exactly what sustainability will be, but we know for sure that this is a good approach.
Thank you, Giuseppe. A very last second and unpredicted and very provoking question, just to add. We talk a lot ESG, but we want to add a muted H, happiness. We don't have any metrics in order to give an estimate of the happiness, of the success of an operation. From your point of view, how can you create a happy place through architecture or through real estate, which is almost the same thing, hopefully. Andrea.
It's a good question, and actually quite. I think it's not provoking, let's say, weird reaction. I think it would be an interesting aspect to implement in some way, whether it's called happiness or with other words, something to evaluate how people perceive that. Because, as you said, well, okay, we talk about ESG and it's coming along and is getting into people's understanding of the built environment and of the new operation. But in the end, we are more concerned on what is the final result on our lives, and definitely evaluating happiness could be is an example and is a matrix that we should consider and add to our patterns of evaluating projects. As architect, I would say that we always consider that. Maybe it's not called happiness, but it's called community, it's called society, it's called interaction. But still, it all goes down to happiness, because Timur before was mentioning about the lack of communication sometimes that the technology creates. And I think more and more nowadays we need people a place of communication in person. Because in the end, yeah, you can have you can be connected, but being at the same time fully alone. And happiness is being part of a community in the end, and feel that you are in the right place.
Thank you, Susanna.
I think it's. I mean, it doesn't exist a way to measure happiness of a place. You don't measure from a technical point of view, but you can measure the happiness of a place. And you can measure how a place is loved by the community. You can understand how a place, you feel yourself comfortable in a place and you don't feel at the same way in another one. So there is a way to perceive, and I think that the most important, the ambition for an architect is to create a place loved by people. And if a place is loved by people, it means that the people feel well in that place. And for sure, this works for a house, for a piazza, for a museum, for whatever. And it's like our historical center in Italy. We have a huge quantity of loved place, because the place in the historical center represent life of people that pass there. There is the timing that you can see in this place. The place belongs to the community that lives there. And so, and the place in that place are usually happy. But, and so I think it's extremely important. I know that it's strange thinking about happiness when we speak about architecture, but it's like speaking of something beautiful or not beautiful. Happiness, like the beauty of something, is strictly connected to the fact that I think is right or wrong. Because at the end, an architect doesn't know exactly what will be a building when it's built, because there are so many factors that play in the construction of something. Immaterial things like the light, colors, are how, I mean, the building play with what is not physical and is immaterial. But I strongly feel that, again, I think that the ambition is to create place where people is happy, where people feel right, in the right place, in the right moment. So more than anything else.
Thank you. Giuseppe.
Good financial returns. No, just kidding. Obviously, I need to play the bad guy. Maybe too much. No, just kidding.
Everybody knew.
Everybody. No, okay. Happiness is something difficult. I mean, in the U.S. Constitution, the pursuit of happiness is by the Constitution. It's something that you will always need to pursue. So, not easy to find final happiness. I think that it's important. Happiness. You find happiness when you build something, a project, any project with satisfaction, and your clients and everyone is calling you again, and after many years, so you have good feeling about it. So this is something. It's happiness. I can mention one episode when I was in New York and we were building our first project in New York. Our CEO, Davide, was looking at the materials of the top of the building, and the top of the building, this skyscraper, 60-story tower, was in stainless steel, and we were very tempted to cut this in some other material, but he said, no, this is behind the Empire State Building, so everyone is going to see when they're gonna have the news, and the future people will see that as a stainless steel, like the Chrysler Building, like many other buildings. So this is some mark that you leave for the city, for the project. So, and gives you a kind of sense of happiness, and this is what we think for now.
Thank you. Timur.
I think we can feel a happy place, very, like Susanna was saying, you feel the energy. And so I think we individually know where we feel happy. I would change it a little bit and talk about health, because without health, we'd have nothing else. So a place that nurtures you, nurtures your mind, body, and soul, is a place where you are more likely to be happy than a place that sucks you dry of energy from, whether it's the architecture is not inspiring or the spaces don't exist, they've been built over. One of the things that I love about Italy are the piazzas, where you have from very old time this concept where you have these almost sacred piazzas where people were meant to come and meet and discuss and talk. In Athens, you used to have the Agora of Athens, where people would come and debate and discuss. Community could come together. I think happiness is in connection. And that's what my point was earlier, was that we need to find a way to keep connecting people. And what I've seen in Dubai, which is a very international place, the local population is very small. So it's mostly made up of Italians, Pakistanis, Americans, Brits, Germans, South Africans, etc., is that people are looking for their tribe. And it's no longer, my tribe is just Italians. It's my tribe are people who like to ride motorcycles with me, or play paddle tennis, or something else. So I think that looking forward, we need to listen, going back to listening to what the communities are what people want, and try and create them. And of course, they'll be different, but a place where there's connection and something that provides nurturing of the soul. And one very obvious, easy aspect of that, and you talk about it in real estate all the time, especially in New York, because it's very congested, is light and air, right? As a developer, how much light and air do you have? Do you have small windows, low ceiling heights, or do you have high ceiling heights and big windows where the light comes in? So we know that there's some very structural things that directly impact the happiness of a resident or a tenant. But we also know that we need to have nature be part of this equation, right? So when we see cities get built without the protection of nature, without the inclusion of nature, you can be guaranteed that the happiness index, whatever it is going to go down. So nature is an important part of that as well.
Francesca.
Now you put things a little bit more difficult for me, because I was answering like a bad guy or a bad girl in this case, because for us I would say that in the after completion is easier than for architects to understand if your project is successful or not. It's not the happiness of people, but if people leaves your project, so somehow they are happy with it, and they come there, they leave the project, they make everything alive, so the project is successful. Then you can talk about having people living your project, they buy the houses, they rent the places, so for economical point of view also this is a success. But I think that my company, we are working on big renovation projects, so usually you have buildings, you have public spaces, you have a lot of things and a lot of functions, so I think that the main goal is understanding the needs of the people, understanding that you have to, and I completely agree, to enhance the light, the nature, the possibility to be in contact with these elements for people. But also if you see that people understands your project and understands which is the idea behind it and live it and take it and make it ours, themselves. And that's, I think, that is a success. And it's also something that can measure the happiness of people that are there. And those are the people for whom you did that work, the project. And so this is a success and happiness for them.
Thank you all. Actually, what lies behind the expression of happiness is a true link for me to introduce the upcoming video pill and the next content. Let's enjoy it. So now we're talking about quality of life, which is a critical aspect when we design, when we think about the upcoming projects and the final outputs. How can architecture and real estate influence the way that community can act, think, and cooperate toward more, I won't say sustainable, but I would say a better quality of life altogether, so reaching a mutual goal. Giuseppe?
Okay, I think for a real estate developer, the first thing is that a good design, good thoughtful design will improve can promote, let's say, the quality of the project and quality of life. So obviously, choosing a good architect, it's the first thing. And with the architects, I think together it's important to promote certain things, obviously depending on the projects, because certain projects you can, for instance, promote walkability in projects. For instance, in the Porto Carlo Riva that we did together with Tectoo, this is a marina which is open to the people, to the public, the community, and also is, let's say, it's encouraged to go walking rather than using the car. So this is something that maybe can be more can enhance the sustainability. Obviously, in the luxury real estate, we go the word luxury is more like, rather than materials, now is going through the experience service. So this is something important in our projects. So that, and this is something that has to go together. Or for instance, in another project, I would say in the historical project like the Angst renovation, maybe you are encouraged to use the amenity, the park, the gardens. So the sharing the resources is also some of the things. The resources, I would say also, let's say amenity space are resources, communal resources that good architecture can, let's say, what I mean is that the sustainability needs to be something desirable. So, so the good architects, together with the developers, I think they will have to make things desirable.
Thank you. Andrea, your thoughts?
No, I want to start with a comment because I was getting a bit emotional before hearing Giuseppe as a real estate developer that said that he found happiness in the stainless steel roof. And that made me...
Points of view?
Top, sorry. That was amazing. And no, actually, it's very important nowadays that we see cities from the sky. So I would say that actually it's definitely not as a secondary aspect.
I started with good financial return.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, I have to say that. Well, before I was saying that desires is a system of sign, no? And going back to that, if we look at the pattern of the city from above, you see a net of open and public spaces, and they are the interaction between the people. And in this way, in the interaction with the real estate developer has to go down to find, even in the most private project, those public network of spaces that makes the building more alive, livable, enjoyable. And so whether you work on a urban planning project or a private project, a skyscraper, or just a building, a low-rise building, let's say finding that network of spaces, let's say community-driven, it's important, and the relationship with the client in finding reasons for those places, and it's part of this work, is part of the game, and playing as well with the real estate developer on the opportunities in order to find the solutions that would enhance really the interaction between the people, but at the same time answer to the client's need. It's extremely important. So I would say, yeah, that's my thought.
Thank you. Francesca.
So we are talking about the behaviors of people and the public space, and of course, I mean, human being is a social being. So if we make more effort into the social spaces, into shaping them, into providing them, we can drive social behaviors and the interaction with people, and of course we can try to influence people behavior in a good way. Also, I think that what we can do in our perspective about this is to try to put everything that is needed to have these supposedly good behaviors at hand for people. I mean, I want to push the people to use bicycle or more easy ways and soft mobility and so on. I have to provide them with easy access to this kind of facilities. Or I have to provide them with easy access to public transport, for example. Or I have to shape my designs with the help of architects, providing them with all these spaces that favor the connection with people. So we can try to shape behaviors, or to, actually we are proposing behaviors to people. But then sometimes people, they take the space and they do their own. Like, you know, you can plan, it's funny this thing, but I remember it, I want to tell about this. But you can shape, for example, a park, making all this wonderful project with all the paths, the flower beds, everything, and you complete the work, is perfect, is very well built, is amazing, people goes there, and after 2 weeks you have flower beds that are burned with people passing in the supposedly wrong place, because actually that is the better way to go for them. So sometimes you don't catch well what the people need, but the people also helps you sometimes to make their behavior, your space, apt to their behavior. So it's a continuum of exchange between the place that you provide to people and the behavior that the people have in that place.
Thank you. Susanna.
We were speaking about the quality of life of people, but in general, the quality is a word that can be applied to everything. So the quality of life implies quality of relation, quality of environmental, the world around you, quality of the people around you. So quality of life of people is built through a state of bigger consciousness of ourselves and how we want to create a community, because the quality of life is done by a community. This is the reason why we spoke about public space. We spoke, you know, when we were speaking about the street and how people, I mean, where you thought there was something, they did something else. I remember that when I went in the campus of Harvard the first time, they explaining that every time the process of building the new building, they build a building and they left for 1 year people going where they want. So in such a way that they draw the pathway. After that, they build the pathway. So is a different, I was thinking about this when you spoke, but I don't want to spoiler, but with time we are speaking about a project that speaks about the quality of life. And the quality of life and how people interact and know himself and how is able to know himself and interact with the world around us, so is important. And it's something where people, each of us, have been educated. It's something to learn also. It's something to appreciate it. It's not just instinct. It's something that we need to understand. And we need to study, and we need to understand how quality of life can be improved, because now everybody speaks about longevity, everybody speaks about what we can do for this, for that, how we can live better in a better way. And probably thinking about a mixture of technology, progress, and also spiritual aspect. That means that doesn't mean just religious. It means just what belongs to our soul, our spirit, is important. And so, again, the quality for me passed through all of this.
Thank you, Susanna.
Thanks to you.
Timur.
What everybody said.
Too easy.
We have quality of life means different things to, for example, if you're building an ultra luxury project, the people who are going to buy in that project, they want an anonymity. They don't want to be seen. Maybe they're too famous and they want quiet, and they want a door where they can go in. They don't want to spend 20 minutes in an elevator going up 100 flights of 100 stories. And for younger people, it might mean a place where they can actually meet people, maybe meet their future husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, or make friends. So I think for each different group of people, it has a different meaning. And a developer and architect need to really come together in a shared vision of what they're trying to deliver for that audience, for that demographic, for that market. And I think that there's a beauty in that process. If you don't think of it as like a cookie cutter process, but you get as many of the people together from the beginning. So, you know, these two have been working together, or these three, for a long time. And so they don't need to communicate as much as they would if they were working with somebody new. There's a seamlessness there. And I think that is a very important thing in ending up with a product that is meeting a piece of the vision, at least, if not most of the vision. So I think that that's something different that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Timur. I would like to thank all of you because your reflection, especially on the public space, are truly thankful to introduce the latter video pill tonight. Andrea, I was particularly impressed when we were here together for the shooting that you were just telling me one of the main approaches that you have within your daily practice is to color the sketches in order to better identify the urban voids and the public spaces. Can you elaborate a bit more on this and also on the possibility to have an asset from all this space?
Well, as mentioned before, voids are not empty spaces without meaning, are actually a network, let's say, and that's the way of seeing them. I don't remember where exactly, but I saw like a post with a sequence of images of cities from above, of different types. From more regular ones to more medieval ones. And that pattern is something that creates, in the end, the identity that we all belong to. This made me think also, about the importance of them when you see, like in tremendous scenarios of war, public spaces being destroyed and demolished. So that's a clear message of it's not just destroying things for the sake of destroying them, but it's a matter of canceling an identity. So that's the value and the power of the public spaces, of those voices that have an incredible part in everyday's life, and that's why we have to design them. That we have to understand what we are designing, and making like black and white sketches of the city from above makes you understanding this network, which is not an invention actually, because if you look at the how the cities were designed even in Renaissance. And you could see these beautiful patterns of the city. You understand a big picture, which is something that I think we are kind of lacking nowadays, because the picture, our bigger picture we see in the transformation of the cities is driven by certain different interests, and that defines the shape of that piece of city, of that piece of town. So the urban voids are great also opportunities, but we should put them in a bigger picture where there is something that drives the connection, the axis, and the urban matrix, which is not just given to a private interest. We should understand that in a wider ways in order to make it well connected. So it means having a plan in mind. So that's the importance of urban void.
Thank you. Susanna.
Listening what you are saying, I was thinking about the first act in a community to create the community itself is a piazza. So a place where the community can meet. So I think that it is an empty space, but is empty, but full of, again, connection, and becomes a place where really people can share their experience. I don't think that just luxury is a question of experience. I think that everybody needs this kind of experience, and the experience itself and how you share your experience is important, and make community grow, create this sense of belonging to a community. And for me, what is happening now, for example, is really not, is strictly connected, but in a different way. How we look movie now, and how we live the projection of a movie in the past. The big cinema, the big theater, arriving there, going there, comments the movie after each one of us has his own iPhone, iPad in his word, and look at, but is a huge lack of experience, is a huge lack of life. So in this process of innovation and technology, we are losing the most important part in our life, because at the end is the sharing. And to share, we need empty space, we need voids in the city, we need the public space. And the drawing of the public space is what could create better community, because the quality of this space could influence the quality of the people that live these spaces.
Giuseppe?
Okay. The way I see this question was more like in terms of if urban voids are like an asset, if there is a challenge, an opportunity in that. So more like urban plots or areas that are maybe next.
You are really a developer, huh?
That's why I'm here.
In your soul.
So I think that the role of the developer is exactly this: to unlock, potential and value for these voids. Let's say, obviously in a good way, because a good repositioning of these voids then create high value for the city, for the community, but and for everyone. We've worked on many of these projects. For instance, we have worked in Milano Sesto, the former Falk area that was close to Milan. It used to be an abandoned steel factory, which is becoming a mixed-use district, or maybe on the Rapallo Marina, which was a storm-damaged harbor, which is now a waterfront destination, or maybe another abandoned building for 80 years in Angst Bordighera, and now you can enjoy the beautiful essence of the apartments, and also for the for the area, for the Bordighera town, is also a sense of pride for them and from the whole. It's an attraction. So I believe that voids, let's say, could be opportunities for everyone at any level, and I think this is our role.
Thank you. Timur.
That if you've been to Hong Kong, you see some of the biggest structures that you only thought were in movies, sci-fi movies. Hundreds of stories, pigeonhole apartments. You cannot even see the top. And so, as societies, we have to really have a philosophical discussion 50 years from now. What do you want to look like? Because populations will grow, and supply and demand is ultimately going to drive economics. And no matter how good-hearted developers are, ultimately there is a model, and there's an execution of that model. You can put in nicer flooring and better windows and soundproof and so forth, but at the end of the day, there's a model there. So as a society, we need to decide, do we want to go the way of these metropolises where I don't see a lot of public space anymore? You're talking thousands of people, not even hundreds, in an apartment building. So this is a conversation for you as a society and for other societies in other countries who have less land, who don't have an Arabian desert they can continue building into. What do you want? Do you value that space? And if you do, then the behavioral change has to come from within the society. Otherwise, the development will continue. And you see it. So I think the role of government is, of course, there. But what happens is that you have great developers that build beautiful product. And then you have lots of other developers that don't build beautiful product. And then the government steps in and provides regulation, and then becomes overly austere. And then everything goes backwards. So there's this pendulum swinging back and forth, and what you need is a balanced approach. And that balance, I think, will not come from developers as a whole, and it will not come from government as a whole. And ultimately, I think it has to be a collective conversation between the people of the town, the government officials, the developers, and we have to find a better way. We can do things the same way, but if you take a Machiavellian approach to the future, you can run that regression very quickly and see that, okay, there's a lot of potential issues we're facing in our children or grandchildren's generation. So I would say that it needs to be a collective approach, and the behavior has to change. The spaces, yes, of course, I think they're incredibly important.
Thank you so much. Franziska.
I liked your answer, so I don't want to ruin the effect on this final. But I think that my fellow bad guys have pinpointed, it was me? No? Some of the issues here. I mean, of course, a urban void is an opportunity for us because it creates an opportunity to do something better, something new. The thing is, what is a void? What we consider a void, and mainly we consider a void like developer, like not used space, abandoned space, not empty space in the strict sense. So we are not planning to build in a square, but we are planning to convert, to renovate something that people doesn't need anymore, and so is not useful anymore. And we don't have to build the whole lot. We can also leave some empty spaces, trying to interpret the needs and the desires of people and trying to provide public space for socialization and everything. And but I also agree with the thing that the community has to understand what they need. And today, what I view is that the public administration has this power nowadays to try to connect people and communities. And like I said in the beginning, with this participative way of discussing projects and urban plans and everything, maybe they have this power to represent what the society need. Then, of course, it has to be worth of doing something in a more economic way. So you have to compromise somehow. But of course, we try to do our best. I mean, we don't have that many voids anymore. So we have to do the best we can with the space that we have, trying to not to waste too much.
Thank you. Thank you for your inspiring thoughts. I think it's time to wrap up. So I'm also happy to thank our beautiful audience, both here tonight in Milan, in your office, but also a great amount of online audience, more than 300 people attending from the world over. So it was quite of a success. And we'll keep you updated on the next episode that will arrive very, very soon. But for the moment, thank you so much and enjoy the night. Thank you.